Texas is the second largest state in America, stretching across 268,000 square miles of land. You could fit France inside Texas. You could fit Germany inside Texas. You could drop the entire United Kingdom into Texas and still have room left over for a few small countries. When Americans think of Texas, they imagine something massive, something sprawling, something full of people and cities and life in every direction. But here is the thing nobody tells you. Most of Texas is completely empty. If you drive west from San Antonio, you will watch the cities disappear. The towns thin out until you are counting the minutes between gas stations, planning your fuel stops like a pilot planning waypoints across the ocean. And then there is nothing. Just flat brown earth stretching to the horizon. Miles and miles of silence broken only by the occasional windmill spinning slowly against an enormous sky. The truth is that 75% of all Texans live in just one corner of the state. One single corner, shaped like a triangle, connecting Dallas in the north to Houston in the east to San Antonio in the south, with Austin sitting right in the middle. 4 cities occupying less than 15% of the total land, yet somehow containing almost 30 million people while the rest of Texas sits there, massive and beautiful and almost completely abandoned. So why did everyone pile into one corner and leave the rest behind? Why does West Texas, with all its rugged beauty and endless space, remain one of the most sparsely populated regions in the entire country? The answer begins thousands of years before Texas was Texas, before there were borders or highways or cities, back when this land followed rules that had nothing to do with politics and everything to do with survival. The answer is water, and in Texas, water has always been the answer to everything. The eastern part of Texas receives abundant rainfall, sometimes 40, 50, or even 60 inches per year, depending on location. Rivers flow through this region like veins through a body. The Brazos, the Trinity, and the Colorado carve paths through the land, creating fertile soil where crops could grow, cattle could drink, and people could build lives without fighting the earth for every drop of moisture. When settlers arrived in the 1800s, they followed the water, because the water meant life. They built farms along the riverbanks, founded towns where the rivers crossed, and those towns eventually became the cities we know today. Now look west, past the Pecos River, past the 100th meridian, that invisible line running north to south where the rain stops falling, and the desert begins its reign. West Texas receives maybe 8 or 10 inches of rain in an entire year, barely enough to keep the scrub brush alive, certainly not enough to grow crops or raise cattle without ranches spanning tens of thousands of acres. The Chihuahuan Desert dominates this landscape, and while it is beautiful in a brutal and haunting way, with rugged mountains and canyons painted red and orange by iron oxide and sunsets that look like the sky itself is bleeding, you cannot drink a sunset, and you cannot irrigate a farm with beauty. So the people stayed east, where the water flowed and the land cooperated, and survival did not require a daily battle against nature itself. But water alone does not explain why almost 30 million people ended up concentrated in such a small triangle. Water explains where people could live, but it does not explain why they clustered so intensely together instead of spreading out across the habitable regions. To explain that, you need to understand what happened in the 1870s when the railroads arrived and changed everything. Before the railroads, Texas was still mostly frontier, a scattered collection of ranches and small towns and a few ports clinging to the Gulf Coast. Then the iron tracks came snaking across the landscape, and suddenly geography mattered in entirely new ways. Houston became a railroad hub, with lines spreading out from the city like spokes on a wheel, connecting it to markets across the entire country. When a catastrophic hurricane destroyed Galveston in 1900, Houston seized the opportunity and built its own ship channel to the Gulf. That created a city with both rail and sea access, a perfect nexus for commerce, where goods flowed in and goods flowed out, and people followed the money, because people always follow the money. Dallas performed the same trick in the north, positioning itself at the intersection of 2 major rail lines and exploding into a commercial powerhouse almost overnight. San Antonio already had centuries of history behind it, the Alamo and the old Spanish missions and deep roots in the land, but the railroad cemented its future as a modern city. Austin became the state capital, which guaranteed a permanent base of government jobs and institutional stability that would attract residents regardless of economic cycles. These four cities were not competing against each other so much as feeding each other, creating a triangle of commerce connected first by rail, then by highways, and then by the invisible gravity of economic momentum that pulls people toward opportunity. The more people who arrived, the more businesses opened to serve them. The more businesses that opened, the more jobs appeared. The more jobs that appeared, the more people arrived. It was a feedback loop that has been spinning faster and faster for over a century. And what about West Texas during all of this? The railroads passed through certainly, but they did not stop because there was nothing to stop for. No rivers to power mills, no ports to ship goods, no concentrated population to sell things to. The trains rolled through West Texas on their way to somewhere else, and the land remained empty. Until someone struck oil. In 1923, the Permian Basin revealed what had been hiding beneath that dusty ground for millions of years. Black gold erupted from the desert floor, wealth beyond imagination locked in ancient rock formations, just waiting to be extracted. Suddenly, West Texas mattered in ways it never had before. Towns like Midland and Odessa exploded overnight as workers flooded in from across the country, chasing the promise of oil-field wages and the dream of striking it rich. Fortunes were made in months. Men who arrived with nothing retired as millionaires. For a brief shining moment, it seemed like West Texas might finally rival the eastern cities. But here is what oil does to a place, and this is crucial to understanding why West Texas never caught up to the triangle. Oil creates enormous wealth without creating permanence. Oil towns boom spectacularly when prices are high, with populations doubling and tripling as roughnecks and engineers and service workers pour in faster than housing can be built. Rent prices skyrocket. Restaurants open on every corner. Schools overflow with the children of workers who arrive chasing paychecks. Then oil prices crash, as they always do eventually, and those same towns hollow out almost overnight, leaving behind empty apartments and shuttered businesses and rusting equipment scattered across the desert like the bones of some enormous dead animal. The Texas Triangle never had this problem because the triangle became diversified. Houston had oil money flowing through it, yes, but Houston also built world-class medical centers, shipping infrastructure, aerospace industries, and technology companies. Dallas became a hub for banking, telecommunications, and defense contractors. Austin transformed itself into the tech capital of the South, attracting companies and talent from Silicon Valley. San Antonio anchored its economy with military bases, tourism, and healthcare systems that provide jobs regardless of what oil prices are doing on any given day. This economic diversity is what separates the Triangle from the rest of Texas. When one industry struggles, another industry absorbs the workers and keeps the economy moving. West Texas has oil, gas, and ranching, and not much else, which means when energy prices collapse, there is no safety net, no alternative, nothing to catch the falling workers except the long drive east toward the Triangle where the jobs still exist. Today, the gap continues to widen with every passing year. The Triangle attracts airports, universities, hospitals, sports teams, concerts, museums, and all the cultural infrastructure that makes people want to live somewhere even when they could theoretically live anywhere. Young people graduate from high school in small West Texas towns and immediately drive east toward Austin, Dallas, or Houston, because that is where the opportunities are, that is where their friends are going, and that is where life feels like it is actually happening. West Texas remains breathtakingly beautiful, a landscape of vast silences and dark skies unpolluted by city lights, where you can see the Milky Way stretching overhead like a river of diamonds. Big Bend National Park draws visitors from around the world who want to experience true wilderness, true emptiness, true escape from the crowded modern world. The town of Marfa has become an unlikely art destination, attracting creative types who fell in love with the emptiness and decided to fill it with galleries and installations and mysterious lights that some people swear are supernatural. But visiting is different from living, and the people who actually make their homes in West Texas will tell you that the beauty comes with a price, measured in the hours you drive to reach a proper hospital, in the limited schools and limited jobs, and the constant nagging feeling of being impossibly far from everything that the modern world considers essential. The numbers tell the story more clearly than any words could. Loving County in West Texas has a population of around 64 people, making it the least populated county in the entire United States. You could fit every single resident of Loving County into a mid-sized restaurant and still have empty tables. Meanwhile, Harris County, which contains Houston, has a population approaching 5 million, meaning there are more people in one county of the Triangle than in some entire American states. The Triangle will keep growing because growth attracts growth, and momentum is hard to stop once it starts rolling. Projections suggest the Texas Triangle will add another 10 million people over the next 25 years, pushing toward a population density that rivals major metropolitan areas anywhere in the world. Meanwhile, West Texas will remain what it has always been, a beautiful emptiness, a reminder that even in a state this big, most of the people end up crowded together in one small corner, following the water and the railroads and the jobs, leaving the rest of the land to the wind and the silence and the slow turning of windmills against an endless sky. Texas is not one place. It is two places wearing the same name, and most Americans will only ever see the crowded corner where everyone decided to live. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this.